Hey everybody, Russ here with our sponsor for this special episode of the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. It's Caleb Rice with IMB, or Independent Merchant Brokers. How's it going, Caleb?
It's going fantastic, Mr. Hedge. How are you doing today?
I am so good. You know, Independent Merchant Brokers is the low-cost, no-cost credit card, debit card processing and point-of-sale system. That's a mouthful. But Caleb, give us a snapshot of what that really means.
That's exactly what we do. We provide credit and debit card processing, pretty much any payment processing, no matter your platform, whether you are like e-commerce, online, or in person, you have a storefront, contractors, all that good stuff. We process, or we provide you with anything that you need to process payments.
Hello. Woohoo! Seems like we were just here.
Yeah, you know, so I love the introduction where you're rolling through and you're showing images of us from prior episodes. And wow, we were so young when we started this, the experience. It's fun to see how we've matured with
how we've grown. How we've really grown into it. Well, you know, I was just talking to our wonderful guest, Russ Johns, who we're going to bring on in just a moment, about how, you know, I feel like a child. I'm just making it up as I go. So there you go. And he had a nice little quip for that, but I'm not going to even go into that. I'll let him say it. Yeah, learning and growing every day. That's right. Loving life.
Yep. So with Russ coming, so we're going to bring in another Russ. So it's going to be very confusing for everyone. Well, okay, just for me. But the what is Russ's tagline for his pirate broadcast?
Well, what I love is kindness is cool and smiles are free. And I'm telling you, that is my theme for life, except for he took it first. But I'm going to just take that with him because I love that. Like being kind to people and smiling. Yep.
Well, so they say as an undergraduate, it's called plagiarism. As a graduate student, it's called research. And in business, it's called leveraging. So go ahead and leverage his tagline. But with that,
let's bring in Russ.
Let's do it.
All right. There he is, Mr. Russ Johns himself. How's it going, Russ?
I am better than average. How are you two gentlemen today?
Oh, I guess I'm average.
Oh
no, not if you're here. Not if you're here. You're in good company.
I love that. I love it.
Well, I was really looking forward to having you on, Russ. And as we've got to know each other, you know, I count you as a good friend. And someday I'm actually going to get down to Arizona to see you, or you're going to get up here to Oregon, one or the other. But
either way, it works out for either one of us, right?
That's right. It's
just make sure you time it right, so you're in Arizona at the right time and you're in Oregon in the right time. Like right now would probably be a great time to be in Arizona. Because in July and August, someone had posted a picture of a pair of oven mitts, and it said Arizona driving gloves.
Yeah, I would definitely not do good with that. That's not my kind of weather. I've been to Arizona twice in February. It was fabulous. It was 80, and it was lovely.
Yeah. It's beautiful right now. So,
and which city, Russ? Where are you at? What city?
Just right outside of Phoenix, west of Phoenix. We're in Sun City, where it's sunshine most of the time.
Yeah. So I've been to Arizona. I've been to Phoenix a few times. And driving through it always reminded me that someone took a great big bag of city and they just dropped it from space, and it just hit and went.
Yeah,
because there's no up. It's just out.
Yeah, it's just out. It's just spread out. A lot like Houston, too, as well. Except, you do have a few mountains around Arizona, and you can see them in the distance, and you can go drive and get there in a very short period of time. So
in Houston, they just keep putting belts around it, but it doesn't help. They outgrow their belt line.
So I saw a couple of the mountains there, Russ. I mean, we just call those little hills here in Oregon.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So
I used to live in Oregon, and I'm a huge fan of Oregon, and enjoy every time I'm there. So
I know. We've talked about that.
Where are you in Oregon?
I was living right outside of Portland, out off Rock Creek Road.
I know the area. Yep.
Yeah, Cornelius Pass.
Lovely Cornelius Pass.
Yeah.
Lots of traffic there.
Yeah. Yeah, they were rebuilding it last time I was there in town, so I don't know if it's still being rebuilt or what's the status there.
Who knows? Who knows? But hey, what we do know is that you and the Pirate Broadcast are doing awesome things. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
Well, Russ, Scott, the real essence of the Pirate Broadcast is to highlight people like yourself to be able to know, like, and trust, and also shine the light on individuals to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, so people can actually enjoy and appreciate a little perspective, a little inspiration, a little motivation. You know, a different individual every morning, 5 days a week. I broadcast 7 a.m. Arizona time, and shortly here in March, we're going to be moving to Pacific Standard Time, so it won't be quite as early for you to watch,
Right.
because Arizona doesn't go into the daylight savings schedule.
Yeah, and I'm grateful. I wish we did the same, but that's a debate for another venue. But I'll keep
it positive here, Scott.
And listening to your podcast, doing a podcast 5 days a week is a commitment. I mean, just like your beard. I mean, that beard, that's a commitment, right? I mean, you just wake up one morning and say, 2 days later, yeah, I got it. But I mean, that's making a 5 day a week podcast.
Yeah.
Getting the guests, doing the recording, doing the production. And I know you do it all yourself, right?
No, I started out that way, Scott. And what I did was, my intent was to build a system and a solution that I could duplicate and scale. So I've trained multiple producers on producing shows. In fact, I just got off another show that was being produced for another network that I jumped on from that one onto this one. And now that I'm training a producer, I have a producer for this show that once the show is completed, the audio is downloaded, it's transcribed, the podcast is created, the video is uploaded, and it's all 380 episodes are on russjohns.com now. So
wonderful.
Go find those and just review anybody you want.
Yeah, I know that there was this other Russ guy you had on that I heard was really cool on the Pirate Broadcast, but
he's very cool.
I got to tell you, I do 2 a week and I really enjoy it, but 5 a week is a big commitment. But one thing I have discovered is I have gone live. I don't know if you heard the story, but during our ice storms we had here in Oregon, I was almost a dozen recordings ahead. I was doing, post-production and putting it together and putting it out. Well, I pretty much lost them all somehow in the memory transfer between Dropbox and Wi-Fi and all the crazy stuff we had anyway. Wow. But I had been thinking about going live. So God pretty much said, here you go. You're going live now. So it's been good though. I like doing the pre-production and having it all ready to go. Sure. And it really makes it a little bit easier. And so I can see if I was to do more, I would definitely do it in the live format like that.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked me the other day, why do you go live? And it says, I'm not really interested in editing audio or video anymore. And so going live, I just have to make sure that I take a moment and pause and not worry about editing as much as I used to, and not be concerned about it, and just go with the flow and just enjoy the ride.
I'm just glad that they have programs for dummies like me. So I can actually, there's software. I could do the post-production also on pretty easy software, but it's nice to have things like StreamYard, things like, Canva, things that we can utilize that are not that difficult, that I can figure out. And that helps a lot because it makes you look good when you really don't know what you're doing.
Well, that's the beauty of the time we're living in right now, is the idea that we have access to everything that was not too long ago extremely complex, extremely difficult, and a lot of times required teams. You know, I was in the radio and advertising and broadcasting background, and to do a remote broadcast 20 years ago took a team of engineers, an engineer truck, and I'd have to order circuits and services to get to the location, and all of these elements had to be in place in order to actually make it work. And now you just pick up your phone and you stream live, and you can access information at the touch of your hand.
Steve Dotto up in Canada, you know, he, Steve Dotto, he was in Dotto Tech, Canadian broadcast, and he shows the evolution when they were producing, when CBC was producing the Dotto Tech show. You've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of worth of equipment, like 20 people running around, and now it's his Mac and a Logitech Logitech camera, and he's got an upgraded microphone. But basically, you got a studio here, and I'll often say that this is the absolute best time ever to be alive. Because if you want to produce a show, video, TV, radio, you want to author a book, it's only your willingness to participate is what holds you back. No gatekeepers.
No gatekeepers. Not at all. In fact, when I was even working in the radio business still, I was managing a station over in Houston, KBRZ Sports, and we used to send out producers to live high school varsity games and send them out with an iPad and an audio interface, and then stream it live to the radio station, and then pick it up on the website, and then rebroadcast it out to the transmitter. So we would do live simulcast broadcasting immediately. And that's when I got into podcasting really heavy and started developing all these techniques to be able to produce shows, make it happen, get all the systems in place in order to allow us to do this. And it just continues to get easier. Right. And so, moving into the strategy piece and how do you utilize this stuff? How do you produce more content with less effort, and how you can actually create on a regular basis? And so the Pirate Broadcast is an experiment to provide the resources to the Pirate Syndicate. And that whole exercise has just been an evolution over years of time.
I love that, how you say that it's been an experiment, because I feel like my whole business and job has been an experiment since COVID started. Try something, see if it works. Don't know how to write a book, but write one anyway. But that's really what it takes. I agree 100% moving forward. And it is amazing to me what you brought up, because back when I was young married in Portland, working for a big advertising firm and PR firm, it took an entire department and fleet of computers to create this background that I did in about 30 seconds. There's so many things that they really, had to come up with all these boards and all these ideas, the creative department, and it's so much easier now. And I'm really thankful for that. And hey, I wanted to say, speaking of creative people, we had our friend Alan Hennessy. He's dropped in. And I was telling Scott and I, we were only children back then. To Scott's initial comment about how young we were.
Back when we started this, started the experience. Yeah, we were younger then.
We were mere children. Speaking of
young
children,
and naive.
Yeah. And speaking of children, my friend George is saying hi, Rusty boy, to me. Yes, I love George. He's great. He's awesome.
And I'm interested, as you talk about the Pirate Syndicate, I'd like to hear kind of what that is and how do people get involved and what's going on there.
Well, Scott, thank you for the question. And I really, I've been teaching and training and working in technology for years. And what I always found, there are two basically divides in technology. There's the people that say, I don't want to deal with that. Just do it for me and let me know when it's done. And then there's people that enjoy and appreciate, I want to do it. I want to participate. I want to learn how it works. I may not necessarily do it all the time, but I want to learn how it works. So the Pirate Syndicate was designed to be able to allow people to show up, turn on their microphone, turn on their camera, and broadcast, where I do and the team does all of the work in the back end. All the creative, getting all the things that Russ has developed and you guys have done on your show with the intros and the outros and the lower thirds and all of the artwork that Russ mentioned. That's what my team does. And so the other piece of the puzzle is that I'm working with producers and then bringing producers to the table so we can actually teach and train other people on the production process, the content creative process, everything that goes along with that. And as you know, being online and I noticed the guitar in your background, Scott. I was a drummer for years. So it's the same kind of process and idea of we can learn how to play music and we can learn how to enjoy music. It's both sides of the equation. So the Pirate Syndicate allows us to create shows for people and also teach people how to create their own shows.
There's definitely satisfaction in that. I had a little issue. I guess sometimes I enjoy it and sometimes it's tough, but I've obviously figured out some things. But I had to do an actual motivational talk for an organization this week, but they only had Facebook Live and I wanted to use StreamYard. And because I was going through their group, StreamYard wouldn't recognize, even though they made me an admin. So there might have been an easier way, but I realized that on StreamYard, there's codes you can get off of Facebook through those groups, kick it into StreamYard, and then you're able to broadcast directly onto their page. And so I felt pretty satisfied that I figured that out, actually.
Yeah.
Then I was able to use an intro video, able to use a presentation and not just talk. I mean, not that I don't think I'm interesting, but sometimes it's nice to have a little extra stuff,
Well, the visual representation that we use on a regular basis, it kind of assists in the storytelling. And it's really about what the story is behind the things we do every day. You've been in advertising and and understand a good, solid tagline or, something that you can catch your eye, catch your imagination, and just put it all together where you don't need a lot of explanation to define what you're doing. People just get it. And that's really important. And visual representation also helps and assists that message.
Yeah, it does. I think one thing that I've learned is if it is eye-catching, you only have a really short time to catch people's attention. And so I think the visual part makes it way more interesting right off the bat. And if you don't catch their attention right off the bat, you've lost them anyway. So, might as well have some aids, even if we think we're wonderfully interesting. It's nice to have a little help, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really nice to be able to say, okay, well, what is it that I want to create? How do I want to create it? And what is going to be necessary in order to put it out there to the world? Because a lot of times, and I'm sure you've experienced this, where you think, oh, I have an incredibly great idea. This is an amazing experiment. I'm going to put this out there. And then everybody tells you it's a great idea until you ask them to pay for it. And then it's not the experiment you thought it would be. And so one of the things that you can do to circumvent that whole process is find out what people are suffering from, find out where their pain threshold is, have conversations like you do all the time, Russ. And you understand and kind of identify what's the thing that you're really looking to achieve and what problem are you trying to solve with this?
Right.
And so it's not about us. It's about how we can add value and what value is going to be able to create a solution for somebody in the community. Yeah. And that's where the real magic happens, is when what you're creating is solving a problem for somebody and adding value.
I think what's interesting is we learn the process that it's not all about us. And for some of us, that was a hard lesson to learn. I had a boss who used to tell me it's not all about you. So it is being able to add value to other people and being able to really meet them where they are. That's what I love about connecting with people. I don't know if I'm a huge John Maxwell fan. And John Maxwell talks about one of his favorite things is just to go out to lunch or coffee with people and just learn about them. He goes, I learned something from everybody. Yeah. He's always learning. And I have too. I mean, look at what level he is at. And then you think he is still learning from people. So I've adopted that mentality of really getting together with people, learning from people. I mean, I can tell you, I've learned a ton from you, Russ, just from watching you, just from watching what you do, how you do it. I mean, a lot of the advertising and the pre and post and all the stuff I do, I basically mimic things you were doing because I like what you're doing. And I said, this guy's got it together. I like this idea. I'm going to utilize some of these ideas because why recreate the wheel? He's doing it great, you know. So
you're leveraging. Yeah. You're leveraging.
Leveraging, yes. Thank you, Scott, for clarification. Yes.
Yeah, we'll.
And I'm more than happy to share tips and techniques and everything along the lines. And you know that. I mean, you can ask me anything, and I'll probably have it either an idea, an opinion, or a connection that knows something more about it than I can provide. So,
and I love the whole pirate radio theme. By the way, because it goes back to those days where guys would actually get a transmitter,
yeah,
and underground radio or pirate radio. Yeah. They would just get on a frequency and broadcast in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Without an FCC license and do it as long as they could. And, but they didn't ask anyone's permission.
Yeah.
They just said, look, I have something to say. And I've got a community that I'm going to say it to. And so when I listen to the pirate radio broadcast and when I think about it, and you talk about, the services and how you're enabling people to do that.
Yeah.
It really reflects well what pirate radio means.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, it's subtle, yet when you understand what the backstory, you can say, oh, I get it. Because right now you are the media. You have the ability to broadcast anywhere you want, and you don't need permission. So permission granted. Go out and broadcast.
That's right.
There you go.
Do it.
Yeah, I remember in college, one of my friends was doing exactly that. He created his own radio station, had his own antenna. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I would go broadcast on radio with him. And people in our friends in their cars could hear us. Yeah. But, and it was, it's a lot of fun. And, I really enjoy this whole community, Russ, online, because what you said really resonates with me because you really care about people and you are more than willing to share and help. And what I have found is everybody wants to collaborate and work together. Everybody wants to, in this online community, overriding theme that I've seen is helping each other out, helping each other succeed. Yeah. It's gone away from, I'm going to not tell you anything so that I can be better to, hey, let's all be better. Let me help you and tell you what our friend Alan Hennessy, who made a comment right off the bat, man, when Scott and I got ready to do the live show, he told us how to do things and made our first background. Our friend Jim Fuse, he's like,
oh yeah, Jim.
Yeah. He's like, this is what you got to do. And Tim Sohn and a bunch of the other guys helping us out. And it's just like, they didn't say, hey, here you go. That'll be $50 for that advice. They're just like, let me help you, And of course we all have to make money, but it's just about helping each other. When we all get better, we all do better.
Yeah. Well, I've said this many times on the show as well, is you cannot teach without learning.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The teacher always learns the most.
Yeah, always. Absolutely. And it's really part of the equation. And when you're adding value and you're adding the ability for someone else to succeed, you know, like you said, John Maxwell teaches this all the time, you know, be a servant leader, help others up the ladder. So when you're climbing the ladder, you have a team around you. You have company that knows and understands what you're looking to accomplish, and make sure that you're not alone in that journey. Because anybody that's been in business long enough and understands what entrepreneurship is really about knows and appreciates the fact that there's not every day goes exactly the way we want it to be.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just saying. And there's things where you have to figure it out. And it's just like we were talking about before the show. Today, I think it was today, but it seems like so long ago, that LinkedIn had an upgrade somehow, and there was some changes involved, and I didn't go live, and you know, my guest didn't show up, and all of these things could have really been upsetting had I allowed them to be upsetting. So there's a lesson behind that.
You know, it's I remember driving in the car, and I'm coming up to the light, and it turns yellow. So I put on my brakes and I stop, and I can see the guy in the rearview mirror. And you could tell he wanted to ride my bumper and for us to both go through that yellow light.
Yeah.
And he spent the entire cycle. I don't know what was happening, but I know he was shortening his lifespan with the chemicals that he was releasing into his body for no benefit.
No benefit at all.
Well, you know, the thing is, I think one time this great person wrote this book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. And I think what's amazing, really, my theme in life has been what you guys are talking about. Live the life you choose. Live a positive, happy, upbeat life. And Russ, I think you and I probably are a lot alike in this.
Yeah.
I have this whole personality. I'm really outgoing and high energy, but when everybody else freaks out around me, I get really calm. When things go awry, I normally just get really calm, and I just able to go through that. And I think it came from early years of my life working with everybody panicking around me, and I couldn't in order to get things done. And but that's a choice we all make. We make how we deal with the external circumstances around us. And I think, you know, you're like Scott said, we are definitely shortening our life and making our life miserable while we're on this journey if we're constantly upset and screaming at everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and it's not to say that we're exempt from being upset or challenged or, you know, down here and there in our lives. It's just to say that some days you have to choose to have a little gratitude for what you have rather than be angry for what you don't have.
Exactly. Oh, and that's exactly it too. It's not, this is something that sometimes people say, well, you've got everything together. No, we all have bad days and we all have struggles. It is true. But we all then also get to choose where we go from there. Right. So where do we go from there? Sometimes we need to mourn. Sometimes we need to be sad. Sometimes we need to go through a quiet time and, you know, go get through something. But that doesn't mean we can't turn it around fairly quickly and move back in a positive direction. So I just really appreciate you and all you've done in that area. And it's shocking to believe, but we are already out of time. So I want to make sure, Russ, that you tell everybody how they get a hold of you. I've been putting up your website a couple times here, but how else can they get a hold of you?
You know, the best way to connect with me is just head over to LinkedIn, make a connection, say, hey, I'm a pirate too, and personalize your comment and make sure that you can say, hey, I saw you on the Experience Project, Experience Plus experiment with Russ and Scott, and just you know, something that aligns with what you're looking to accomplish in your life, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the experiment. I like that. They said, you know, it says, they said you can't experiment on children, but they'll flock to an experimental school.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's face it, this journey we call life, this experience is one big experiment. It's one
Yes.
big learning process. And so, yeah, listen, thanks again, Russ. We really appreciate you. I'm gonna send you out to the green room, but hang tight for just a second. We're gonna wrap things up. And thank you so much again for all you're doing.
Gratitude, you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ.
You're a blessing. All right.
The time always goes
It does.
much too fast. There's you're trying to get a lifetime's worth of experience into 30 minutes. Can't do it, apparently.
Apparently not. But the good news is we leave them wanting more, and Russ is easily to contact. And really, anybody that's curious, you can schedule yourself onto his show. So you can go, he's got scheduling place on his website, and you can go ahead and schedule a time to be on the Pirate Broadcast. So
That's wonderful.
To connect with Russ, he is just a great individual.
Yeah, and subscribe. Look for Pyro Radio on your favorite retailer. Just
Yeah.
just put it, Google it up, find it, and I found him. I use Castbox on my phone, on my Android, and then I'm a subscriber there, so he's easy to find.
There you go. There you go. Well, listen, don't forget, everybody, we have the Experience normal time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday. So we are here live and ready to go every Wednesday, and we still will have the Experience Plus at least a couple times a month, and those times will be announced ahead of time. Those will vary, but the Experience live with Russ and Scott is always at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday mornings. And until we see you again, have a great day and a great life. We'll talk to you later.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
the experience.